Hello, everybody, and welcome back again to this week's episode of the Cantina Conversations, the galaxy's #1 conversational podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Will Beeman, joined as always by my two illustrious Canadian compadres, starting off with the freshly lowered ears, DJ Giller. DJ, how are you doing
lowered
today?
ears? Is that a thing?
Yeah,
You've never heard that before?
It's a
I've never
boomer
heard that
saying
before.
for getting your hair cut. You say you got your
Okay.
ears lowered.
Wouldn't your ears get higher though because you can see them more? I don't know.
Well, you
I
get
don't know.
like because you can see your whole ear. They're lower. They're lower than your hair now.
Oh yeah, okay. I feel like this is like an inverted controls, the regular controls thing, where it depends on what your perspective on the ear is, and what position you believe the ear has to the saying. Yeah. Jackson, how are you today?
Yeah, Jackson.
Whoa. I'm good. I
Yeah?
just put on some my lips were a little chapped, and so I just
Right.
put some fresh chapstick on, but now I feel like they're very shiny. And all I can do is stare at my lips this entire episode.
Right.
Shiny
Hopefully you
lips
can
and
focus on what
you-
I'm saying.
I got a similar problem with my hands. I gotta moisturize a lot now. It's getting too cold, too dry out there. You gotta
Yeah.
just rub that moisturizer every hour. Just throw some more on there.
Oh yeah, I moisturized my face this morning too.
Yeah?
Feels good.
Ooh. Well, you guys are like in the thick of the winter. Like we just got 2 inches of snow this week. That was like the harshest we've gotten. So
There's
far.
not even snow here right now. It's just -12.
Yeah.
Just like, this
Yeah.
kind of sucks.
That's Canada for you, eh?
Yeah.
Plus wind chill, which surprisingly like doubles it. It's
Yeah.
like it hits
Jackson.
like 20.
Remember that song from the Fairly Odd Parents, "My Shiny Teeth and Me"?
Yes,
Well, now
actually.
it's now it's your shiny lips and you.
Yeah, exactly. What was the singer's name? Chip
Chip
something?
Skylark.
Skylark.
Chip Skylark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chip's obviously Chip Skylark.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job, everyone. We did
Yeah.
that.
We
Will
really dug that one
Beeman,
out
big
there.
Fairly Odd Parents fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
Check out our Fairly Odd Parents podcast next year.
Yeah. Anyway, there was some news I wanted to have us dive into before we start talking about this incredible season finale of Mandalorian. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ball that up and I'm just going to yeet it because we don't have time. We're just going to dive right into everything that happened in this finale.
Prepare for a bit where we
because-
catch the news next week. Got to remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to recover from watching it. I've watched it 3 times now. We're recording the Friday the episode came out, the 18th, which is also the 5th anniversary of The Force Awakens.
Thank you, Force Awakens.
The only thing I do want to shout out, well, not shout out, but bring mention to before we start going is earlier this week, Star Wars actor Jeremy Bulloch, who was the actor known to play Boba Fett in the suit in the original trilogy movies, passed away this week at the age of 75. So we've lost David Prowse and Jeremy Bulloch within the last few weeks now. So it's been a rough time for the Star Wars universe, but our thoughts go out to his family.
Yes. of
But
course.
he's widely known as being like one of the nicest Star Wars dudes to meet too. Like him and his wife will talk everyone's ears off until the line would be done, no matter how long it would take. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Jeremy Bulloch's family and his friends. That's a big loss in the Star Wars universe. But without much further ado, man, what a sode, boys.
It's
good.
The subtitle for this one ended up being The Rescue, directed by Peyton Reed, which we thought going into this episode was an interesting choice just because chapter 10 that he had done was fine from a directing standpoint. It just kind of was a nothing episode, really.
Yeah.
So we didn't
Interesting
really
to think that was kind of our only nothing episode this I was gonna say this semester because I'm broken this season.
I don't know. I guess you could make the argument last week was kind of a nothing episode.
A little
but-
bit, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember after episode 2 in this season when we like lost our minds.
We had
for
to
20
sit
minutes,
down, we had to,
and
like,
then
talk.
We had to,
Yeah.
we had to talk ourselves through everything, and then the show immediately just like you're on the train
like,
now.
We had to
We're
like
going for a
relax
ride.
for a second, and then it just started punching us every week nonstop.
Yeah,
It was just like,
exactly.
this is what you get for complaining. We're just gonna keep punching you until it's done. But so the episode starts off with the Slave One in a shootout with an Imperial cruiser that has Dr. Pershing on board with some Imperial soldiers, or pilots. I guess they weren't really soldiers, but So like they hit him with an ion cannon, freeze their shields or whatever, and Boba's like, lower your shields. And then they board the ship or whatever, and there's like a moment here where the one Empire pilot like holds a gun up to Dr. Pershing and he shoots the other pilot, and
Yeah, no loyalty.
as some of these Imperial people have been in this season so far, they're very ride or die for the Empire, which is very, very good devotion. And he looks at Cara Dune. Of course, if you're not blocked by Gina Carano yet, please make sure you're continuing on with your hashtag Boudune videos. But Jackson, myself, and our podcasts are blocked by her. So DJ's the last one standing. But anyway, so
I'm the Gina Carano insider. So
so he looks at Cara Dune, and he like makes a snide remark about Alderaan, and she like looks at him and he's like, I could recognize the tear. And I don't know if they established that before or not, but that makes total sense now that she's got like the teardrop tattoo to memorialize Alderaan blowing up.
Interesting way to memorialize, but I guess they don't live on Earth.
Yeah, I will say we've critiqued Cara Dune, Gina Carano's performance in this season a lot. I felt like she was much better in this episode, and specifically this scene. She was totally not noticeably bad now.
I agree. Throughout the entire episode, I kept finding myself being like, "Oh, this is actually good," and I was like, "No, we can't cheer this character anymore." Yeah. So, I don't know about you guys, but this Imperial man, while he was talking to Cara about like how he was working on the Death Star and they lost all these people, he reminded me kind of Heath Ledger when he was doing the "You Want to Know How I Got These Scars" story, because he was like, I was on the Death Star. We lost thousands. And then I was just like, well, this guy's got some Joker vibes to him.
Exactly.
We live in a society. The Death Star blew up, and
they should bring him back next season. He has a completely different story with some other random battle that happens. Like,
he did have a really good line though, where he was like, destroying your planet was a small price to pay to rid the galaxy of terrorism. And I was like, God, they've had some good Imperial lines.
They really believe it.
Yeah, they've been doing it all season so consistently that like it's not even like needed to bring up anymore, but it's still so good. Every time there's an Imperial snake, I'm just like, this is good. This is good content.
They've had good writing for that stuff. But so that's like the pushing point. Cara takes him out. Dr. Pershing is like freaking out because he just had a blaster go by his ear or whatever. So they land the ship at this bar. I'm not sure what the bar is. I'm not sure what the planet is yet, because as I said at the beginning, we're recording this the day the episode aired. So there's
I saw some people speculating from some stuff in the background of this planet that it is Lothal under its like Imperial encampment, apparently post Return of the Jedi. I don't know. I just saw some people throwing that out there, and I thought that would be very interesting if they just threw that in and didn't say anything, and it would kind of make sense if like Bo-Katan's there, like maybe she was talking to Ezra trying to find him, like maybe there's something
possibly, but I don't know. That would kind of undo how Rebels ends, though.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Sabine is like watching Lothal to protect it from.
Right.
I mean, maybe that's why she hasn't been seen this season. Is Imperials came back and. That's why she's missing or something.
There was like one screenshot that someone picked out and just like, this kind of looks like this Lothal, and I was like, nah.
I mean, I'm
who knows?
Sure as the days go on,
Reddit insider DJ is
Reddit insider DJ Gillard or I mean somebody will identify that at some point that has access to that stuff. Or Vil Zostack will tweet concept art about it and be like, well, this is actually the planet based off of a Ralph McClory sketch or something. But
everyone's like, cool.
But yeah, so like they go in the bar. It's Boba and Mando and Costco Reeves and Bo-Katan are in there having a drinky drink.
What happened to the dude?
Yeah, that was the man.
People found out that George Lucas named his character, so they made sure he didn't come back because of people speculating that George was going to be directing.
Well, Disney figured out that George did something, and they're like, we don't like George at all, so we gotta cut this.
Yeah, so we got to get rid of him. But so they're having a drinky drink, and Mando comes up, and he's like, I need your help. And Bo-Katan's like, not all Mandalorians are bounty hunters. Some of us have like a bigger thing going on.
Yeah.
He's like, they took the kid. And Bo-Katan's like, who took the kid? And he's like, Moff Gideon. And then Boba Fett is like, we don't need her. We can keep going. And I'm not really like a big Boba Fett guy. The episode Robert did was awesome and kind of made me like on his side a little bit. But this exchange in this bar with Boba Fett and Bo-Katan and Casca Reeves totally has sold me onto the Boba train now. Yeah, I think he's awesome, or at least the way he's written in this show is so great because she calls him, like, says he's no Mandalorian. He's like, never said I was. And she's like, you're a disgrace to your armor. And he's like, this was my father's. She's like, you mean your donor? She's like, I've heard your voice plenty of times. You're
this
a
is
clone.
a good call out too.
That's good call out. Clones, baby.
Oh, that's the first time they've acknowledged being a clone.
Yeah.
And so then like he starts mouthing off to Casca Reeves, and then they have this big scuttle together.
Sasha Banks, not a good actor, I don't think.
Oh, I thought she was awesome in this scene. I mean, just for the fighting at least. But
yeah.
You gotta remember she's like a wrestler, so that's like her thing. Because like,
but she's acting in a show well.
Hey, don't you disrespect Sasha Banks? I forgot how much I liked her until this episode, to be honest, because she didn't really do much in the last one. But I was like, this character's. I forgot I like Sasha Banks, so because I haven't watched pro wrestling in so long. But yeah, so they have like a little skirmish, and Bo-Katan is like, children, please, we can't do this. And Mando's like, I know where Moff Gideon is, and you need to help me. And she was like, yes, he has this weapon I need, an ancient weapon. Let's go get him. So this is stuff I kind of thought we were going to end up covering last week's episode and not spend a half hour just going to a computer terminal for the ship coordinates. But Bo-Katan and Casca Reeves have been recruited to, quote unquote, the crew now. So we've got the full facility. No Cobb Vanth, though, sadly.
Just didn't make sense.
Yeah,
I want him back. I feel like they're going to do something with him again. I can't see that being a one-off.
But
this doctor dude, though, is pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's all right.
Another season 1 character just randomly brought back into the mix, and you're like, yeah, all right. Well, this one makes a lot more sense, but it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, Dr. Pershing, all right.
So while they're on the ship, though, they make this entire plan on how they're going to raid into the ship. Everyone's going to squat up, and they're going to raid to the bridge to face off with Moff Gideon, while Mando sneaks off to the side and goes to the brig, and he's going to take care of getting Grogu back. And they're like, all right, everyone put their hands in. Ready, team, break. And so their plan to make it look like to give them permission to land, basically, since they're not the Imperial pilots they're expecting, is they're going to pretend that Boba Fett is attacking them, so that way they can have an emergency landing. So they come out of hyperspace and Boba starts firing at them or whatever, and they're like, oh, help, we need to land emergency. And there's great space action scene where these TIE fighters start deploying out of the ship. And
Moff Gideon in this scene says something. Jackson Wells, not a big fan of war, not a big fan of the military, but when someone says scramble the fighters, that's a cool term. Scrambling fighters, I think that's cool.
That's what got Jackson, is scrambling the fighters then. Yeah. But yeah, so the TIE fighters start rolling out, and there's some great space battles here, and they land into like this chute that the TIE fighters were coming out of, like for their emergency landing, and they make it in the door. Or while this is happening too, Moff Gideon says he wants the Dark Troopers activated, so it cuts over to the room the Dark Troopers are in, and that wub wub dubstep starts playing from Ludwig. Great music, and like the wub wubs were synced to them, like sync sync sync, as they were like music unloading video or whatever. It was awesome. And
gotta flex the hip-hop producer muscles.
Exactly. I'm not gonna lie to you, me watching that at 5 a.m. on my laptop screen half asleep, didn't notice details like that, not gonna lie. But I'll notice them on my way back, it'll be good. Notice the music synchronization, it'll be good.
When you're listening to a lot, like I did when my soundbar was cranked and I could feel the bass. Oh yeah,
the power of owning a home.
You guys know, fans of the show know, I am not the biggest stan of the Ludwig scores, but boy, was that music slapping in this episode. Ludwig. I do. I hate him.
Did you see the season 1 vinyl release? It's nice.
I did.
They have like a record per episode. Anyways, sorry. Ooh. It looks nice.
Yeah, it was. Oh, that dubstep though was slapping. So the door drops and it cuts back, and then we get all of the women of the team: Kara, Fennec.
Yeah, Fennec is there.
Yeah. Fennec, Bo-Katan, and Casca storming down the ramp and just laying waste to everyone that's in their way. And they're just taking names, mowing everyone out. Some good action sequences here with just the four of them. And let me see, where am I at?
It's nice to see Bo killing people again. I always enjoy seeing that.
This place of my oh yeah, and then get to like another corridor or whatever, and Cara Dune's gun jams. And when she's like, "Oh man, my gun's jammed," I was like, "Yes, she's dying." And then she's like, "Don't worry, I got it." And then picks her gun up and starts like hitting them with the gun like a staff. And I was like, "Oh, never mind, she's not. They're just gonna do cool action stuff with her." It's like they have like another good corridor hallway scene where they're taking some people out, and Ming-Na Wen is incredible. Like,
she's
as
amazing.
An acrobatic actress, like the rolls and stuff that she was doing with her guns is so. I can't wait to see as much of that character as we can.
There's a certain particular like skill to acting that like involves the acrobatic parts. Like it's like a dancer. Like they've got to dance. They've got to like they've got to be smiling the whole time,
right?
Even while they're concentrating so hard. It's very impressive.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that character, but man, she is good. And she's gonna be in the Bad Batch, so that's good to know too.
And something else, we'll get to it.
Yeah. So then it cuts back to the ship where Mando comes out of the ship now. He's like, "Is it safe?" And he like takes his gun and is like tiptoeing down the ramp and starts taking off to go get Grogu out of the jail or whatever. And
didn't want to actually fight anyone. Just got too busy, man.
Yeah, he's like, you guys take care of it. I'm gonna hide out here for a little bit. And I think he knew that they were in good hands. And, there's that awesome bridge moment too with the characters where Bo and Casca jump off the sides of the bridge, and Kara and Fennec keep going down. They start taking out stormtroopers, and then more come in behind them, and then they swoop up on their jetpacks and shoot them all down. Oh,
when they knock them into awesome. Like space, my biggest fear in life.
Yeah.
When I saw that bridge and how it was like open on the sides, I was like, no, I would never walk across this bridge.
So all the action sequences like throughout this part of the episode though are they're awesome. They're such eye candy to watch. It's all well shot, it's all well choreographed. Everything about it's good. They even made Cara Dune likable during these moments. So all is right in the Star Wars world right now.
Peyton Reed has done what everyone else could not. Make Cara Dune likable.
Done it.
Yeah,
Peyton Reed did it.
Yeah,
I like the Ant-Man movies. I don't know why I'm being mean to him.
It was just when we heard it was just like, oh,
we were just
like it was just not what you expected.
George.
Yeah.
DJ, you can't blow up again. You can't do it.
No, I'm not gonna do it. But it was just like one of those weird things where it's like no one expected Peyton Reed to be coming back, and when you think about it, it's just like, oh, okay, it's fine. So,
but yeah. So then it cuts to the room with the Dark Troopers. So they're and just as the door, Mando's turning the corner, and he's like, "Oh no!" And he tries to shut the door real quick to take care of them, but one of them was able to get his little mittens in there and pry the door open and get out before it shuts.
These are big boys.
This was a great fight sequence too, because like when he pins him up against the wall and is just continually punching his helmet.
I thought it was gonna break.
That's what I thought too. I thought he was gonna do the rest of the episode.
It's slowly dense, but it never breaks. And that's when like Mando uses the little screaming whistle thing to kind of stall him long enough to be like, oh yeah, I've got this giant spear that survived my ship blowing up.
Yeah.
And then that's when he stabs the Dark Trooper, and that's what takes care of him, as he finally is able to disembody it that way. And then he hits the button before the door can re-back open to open up the door to space, and then all the Dark Troopers get sucked out. And at this point in the episode, I was like, oh well, that's kind of dumb. And I was like, they've built these Dark Troopers up.
Jackson.
So then it cuts back to the women crew make it to the elevator, and Cara Dune is like trying to get her gun unjammed, and she's like slamming it on the elevator floor, and she gets it unjammed. She's like, all right, we're good to go. And then they get up to the bridge and they take everyone out there. And like Bo-Katan's walking around, and she turns around. She's like, wait a minute, Moff Gideon's not here. Where's he at? And then it goes back to Mando, who's still tiptoeing, but he's holding a spear this time. So he's like, and then he takes out one of the stormtroopers guarding the door, and then he uses his spear to choke out the other one, and then breaks his neck.
Yeah, it was brutal.
And I was like, oh, he's just gonna choke him out. And then like they do like the noise, and I was like, oh, they just went with it.
Everyone.
Dad's mad. Dad's really mad. Yeah.
Dad, I have a question for you guys. Back. Is this the end of The Last of Us?
Huh. Yeah, but this time the villains have malicious purposes instead of like trying to save the world.
Yeah.
This time it's well, I mean, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this.
DJ's ready to dive in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he comes into the prison cell door, and Moff Gideon's in there, dark saber, fully lit.
Yeah, just holding it to
just holding it to Grogu.
It's still so funny.
Yeah,
where he's threatening the child with a dark saber, and and Moff Gideon is basically just like, I know what you're here for, and he's like, you're here for the child, but I'm done with him. I wanted to test his blood, and I got everything I needed from him, so I no longer need him. And then he's like, I know you're here with Bo-Katan, and he's like, you should just assume I know everything at this point. And he's like, I know she wants this back because without this weapon, she can't reclaim the throne of her homeworld in Mandalore. And he's like dumping all of this exposition that they could have covered in the last couple episodes with Bo-Katan. And Mando is just like, you know what? That's cool and all, but like all I want is Grogu, man. And I'm getting out of here. And Moff Gideon's like, interesting. That's all you'll want. You'll betray Bo-Katan. And he's just like, just give me the kid, dude, and I'm gonna leave. And Moff's like, all right, well, by all means. And he scoots to the side, and then I was like, oh, he's just gonna get Grogu and peace out.
Interesting turn of events. I checked the runtime, and I was like, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah. So he picks up Grogu, or he's about to pick up Grogu, and like undoes the little cufflinks, and then Moff Gideon is like, haha, you've been had, and tries to get him with the dark saber and hits him in the Beskar steel. And then Mando's like, oh, here we go. So he gets his spear out, just like we thought they were foreshadowing for, was the spear was going to come into play against Moff Gideon. I was completely wrong, though. They decided to make Mando super awesome at fighting with this spear, even though the entire series he gets his butt kicked by everybody. All of a sudden he's like a proficient ninja with a Beskar spear.
I was fine with it. Mando's like in the Batman territory, like early days Batman territory for me now, whereas like he's terrible at everything, but he's got that scrappiness where he gets the job done somehow, some way. And this one was like a little bit too much.
I mean, he's like spinning it around and everything.
Yeah,
and
but
fighting
like,
on it.
It still has that vibe to me.
I did think it was a nice touch, though. Like when he walks up on the Darksaber with Moff Gideon, the steel got hot, like it would glow red, and I was like, so maybe there is like a breaking point to it. Maybe. It's just gotta really be cooking.
Yeah, you gotta be sitting there for 10 minutes, just being like, are you gonna move?
They mold it somehow.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So that was like a good touch to it. And then Din bests Moff Gideon and knocks him down and puts the spear up to him, and then Moff Gideon go ahead.
Giancarlo in like this scene and the fight, he is eating it. Like he is amazing. He's so good in this.
Yeah.
And he gets even better later on. I him just like with the baby, and then during the fight, he's like, I don't know how much of it's him, but like it looks like he's having such a good time. And I am too.
He's having a blast, even being mean.
For me, he's like the perfect villain for what the pitch of the Empire is for this era right now, of like this very like cultish, kind of like almost a religious like cult basically. And
he's still kind of charismatic too.
Yeah, that's the thing. And like he is like, all the other ones are like very like conniving, like every other Imperial we see are like dudes with punchable faces where you're just like, I hate this dude, I want to kill this dude, and he is like that, but he also is like, I'm also terrified, and that's what makes him like the perfect version. He's the perfect version of that like really conniving dude, and I think it's perfect for this era. Perfect what they're going for.
So like he gets bested, and then like Mando is just standing there, and all he does is he laughs, and he's just like, well, this should be interesting. And it's like, what do you got up your sleeve, Gideon? So he takes Gideon up to the bridge, and he's holding the Darksaber now, like fully lit up and everything.
Yeah, which was
really
cool.
And
I never thought we would actually do that. I always thought it was gonna be Bo-Katan's, and then we'll see where this goes. But yeah, when he did it, I was like, this is cool.
So Bo-Katan is like, what happened? And then Cara Dune's like, they brought him in alive. Now we're gonna double the reward on this baby. And then Moff Gideon is like, no, he's
got like the blood in his mouth.
He's like, she's thinking of something else, and he's like, he's thinking about the Darksaber. And then like, I love how they're all standing here, and Moff Gideon is just like laughing and explaining to all of them what is happening right now.
Yeah.
And he's just like, and he's like, you have possession of the Darksaber, which means she can't reclaim her throne. She's useless. And Bo-Katan,
he literally grabs the mustache.
Yeah, he's like twirling it, and she's like, and Bo-Katan just looks like mortified, and he's like, oh, that's all I got to do. And he just like closes it up, and he's like, here you go. And then Moff Gideon is just like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And he's like, the only way she can take it from you is if she wins it from you in combat. And Bo-Katan's like, he's right. And
I'm gonna have to beat you up, man.
And Mando's just like, no, just take it. Honestly, just take it.
Please
I don't want it.
and Gideon
please don't kill me.
And Gideon is, shall I say it, giddy. Everything that's being played out here, and he's just like cackling up a storm to himself, and he's just like, you won't be able to take Mandalore because you don't have the Darksaber. Mando over here's the new ruler of Mandalore. And the only thing that I like about this exchange, though, that really makes me scratch my head is, I'm assuming it'll get addressed in further seasons.
I think I know where you're going.
Is like when Rebels, at the end of Rebels, Satine just gives her the Darksaber. Sabine, Sabine just gives her the Darksaber, and then that's how she gets it. And
I wonder if there's something, because it's like they're in the same family, like kind of tree. They're not like both. Sabine ran, than Bo-Katan Kryze, but like they're in like the same kind of like echelon, and like she's also a kid. Like I wonder if that's kind of like the logic, and like Din's an outsider who's earned it,
because they're like pureblood. Mandalorians.
I wonder if that's gonna be the thing.
Politics, baby.
I mean, that could be, because it's so deeply political.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I don't want to lambast the season for it, because at this point Dave has my trust. Like he is the guy behind both these shows. I don't think he forgot.
He didn't forget.
Yeah, he did not forget the last time we saw Bo-Katan and what the arc was there. Like he did not. The word's going somewhere.
If you think of something like taking off his helmet, that took a season and a half for people to finally like figure out like the reason why he was doing that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure we'll get first episode of season 3 probably. That'll
on its base, it's like almost like Gideon tricked Mando into taking it. Like obviously he didn't want to lose, but like it's certainly a pleasant outcome for him if he was going to lose.
That's actually a good point.
Yeah. Like you can, looking back on the episode, you can definitely tell when he does lose, he's just like it all like clicks for him, where he's like, oh, I can do this.
Funny.
This is gonna be good.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's why he lets him, like, he just surrenders so easily, is because he's like, oh well, I know where this is going now.
I think like he tries to fight for sure, but
but I'm saying, like, once he's bested, he's just kind of like
okay.
He's like, oh no. And, but yeah, like you were saying though, Jackson, like, that of all the people that work at Lucasfilm right now, Dave Filoni is like the one person that would be like, now remember the last time we saw this. And then Favreau would be like, well, all right, we'll deal with that in the next season then.
And then Filoni's like, well, if you watch the prequels.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Attack of the Clones?
It's a
Some of
noir.
those Easter eggs in.
You ever watch Star Wars? I watch Star Wars.
That's how I imagine their conversations about like writing these scripts go. It's like Favreau's writing an episode and he just like calls Dave and he's just like, "Hey man, remember Anakin's pod racer? What if we make Cobb Vanth use something that looks like that as a speeder?"
You know what? You joke, but I would be pretty hyped about that. That'd be good.
But yeah, so all this finds out to where now Din is like the owner of this Darksaber now, and Bo-Katan looks terrified. And then they get this alert that they're being boarded because, much like my disappointment earlier, where all of the Dark Troopers were sucked into space, they're robots, obviously, with like jetpacked legs. So of course I should have thought of this, but they came flying back to the ship because they still have orders to carry out. So their orders are to protect Gideon and the child and eliminate the enemies. So they come onto the ship. They do all of their synchronized wubbing to get ready on the bridge, and they come up to the door of the bridge, and two of them start doing their punchy because they're going to start working their way through the door. So everyone kind of looks at each other and they're just like, "Oh man, we're kind of out of luck here, aren't we?" So like Mando cracks his neck, gets his gun ready. Fennec gets her gun ready. Cara Dune gets her gun unjammed and ready. And like Moff Gideon like hides a gun under his cape, and then like Bo-Katan and Reeves are kind of like, all right, well, let's put our helmet on and just kind of hope for the best. And so like there's the door is like getting heavily hit, almost ready to break through. But then as this happens, an X-Wing shows up. And
one lone X-Wing.
Yeah, one lone X-Wing. And then Cara Dune is like, oh, great, an X-Wing, just what we needed. And the X-Wing lands, and I'll go into this in a little bit when we get there, though. But I didn't think too much of the X-Wing compared to other people. Let's just say that
what do you
for
mean?
right now. Like when the X-Wing showed up, I was just like, oh, an X-Wing. I did not have like some people's reactions to this.
I was immediately just like,
I'll explain
we'll
why
get into it after
in a bit though. But
yeah,
also happens well.
Yeah, so this X-Wing lands and they're just like, they try to contact the X-Wing and they're like, hey, identify yourself, and nothing happens. So they're like, oh, okay. So then all of a sudden the Dark Troopers stop punching at the door and they turn around and start walking away. And they're like, well, why'd they stop? And like Grogu perks up at this point, and then there's a TV that's got like the security camera footage on there, and it's black and white security footage. So you see this cloaked character walking down the hallway, and Bo-Katan looks at it, and she's like, it's the Jedi. And I was like, oh, okay, so I was right, Ahsoka's showing up. And then since the security footage is black and white,
I was like,
the lightsaber when you first see it is a white lightsaber. Yeah. So I was DMing DJ at the time because he was the only one that woke up early enough to watch it at 5 a.m. this morning.
Real fan.
Anyway, so I was like, white saber, it is Ahsoka. I was right. And then right after this moment happens with the security footage,
by the way, before you go on, when you text me Ahsoka, I'm sitting in my bed and I am cackling like Giancarlo was. I'm just like, oh, you yeah, summer child.
I woke up at like 3 a.m. and looked at my phone and saw a message from you that said you didn't know if you could get to sleep. Yeah. I was like, oh, well, DJ's not going to get to bed at a good time and he won't wake up early. So I'm going to hit snooze when my alarm goes off at 5, which is what I did. And then when I woke up after my alarm snooze, there was a message from you that was just like, oh, I can't wait, Will. I got to get ready to go to work. And you had already started. Okay. And I was like, dang it. we had an opportunity. Yeah, dang Ferrick. But yeah, so I was like, oh, it's Ahsoka. I was like, wow, I kind of did a good job of calling the finale here. And then, so it cuts back up to the bridge, and this is when Gideon is just like, haha, got you, and takes his gun out and just like unloads into Bo-Katan, and she falls over, and then he turns and he's like, I'm gonna kill the child. And then Mando like dives in front of it and uses his bulletproof Beskar to block all of it. And then he gets like knocked down after this scene or whatever. And then it cuts back to the hallway. And
Not
oh
security
man,
cam footage this time.
not security cam footage this time. And then we see that was not a white lightsaber; it was green. And when you see
Green.
the green blade, the tip
It's
of
Ezra.
the lightsaber,
Yeah.
I immediately knew who it was, and the floodgates were open from there. I couldn't control myself. I instantly became a puddle. Seeing Luke taking out these dark troopers in his black garb from Return of the Jedi and Battlefront 2 era, and he's just laying things out using the Force, slashing around. I mean, that's the saber. I have the saber. Like,
nice.
You could not, it's on my body till I die. Like seeing that again in person was so overwhelming to me. And they were like, it would cut back between like him in the hallway taking people out, cutting back to the bridge where the characters are just like watching in awe as this is getting taken care of.
They're the audience surrogate watching it all, just like,
and then like
this is
Luke makes his way through the corridor up the elevator, and then they're waiting on the bridge there, and like my voice is getting shaky even thinking about it, and then the elevator door opens and Luke Skywalker gets his Rogue One moment. We had it with Vader in Rogue One. We had it with Darth Maul in the last season of Clone Wars. And now we're getting it with Luke. The trifecta of the
Holy Trinity of...
The Holy Trinity of characters we wanted to have their Rogue One moment have had their Rogue One moment.
Yeah.
For better or for worse. And we might touch on that later, depending on how our conversation goes. But just to see, and it's almost mirrored the way the Rogue One scene goes.
Yeah, even the way the lightsaber comes out. It's like poetry,
it rhymes. Every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one, obviously.
He's taking these dark troopers out, and there's a very good point here that was pointed out by Alex Damon at Star Wars Explained, and where Luke is at character-wise at this point in time is at the Return of the Jedi. He threw his sword away from fighting. In Battlefront 2, after he mowed down a battalion of stormtroopers, and he said that didn't feel right to him and he didn't want to do that. They kept that consistent, where now he is just mowing down robots. So we can have our cool Luke lightsaber action, and it's not affecting human life. He's killing droids. That's like the easy way, like how Beskar can be immune to everything so Mando doesn't die. This is how you can have robots. This is how you can have Luke do his cool Jedi stuff, is make it robots, so that way it fits the consistency.
A little of a cop-out, but I'm fine. I'm not mad,
Yeah, but I mean, this scene is just so good. And he comes up to the door. He comes up and he pulls his hood off, and it's de-aged Mark Hamill.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Sebastian Stan. It's not a lookalike actor. It's not Mark Hamill himself. It's like a de-aged Mark on another actor.
Yeah, just a little disappointing to me.
I
kind of wanted to see them just recast.
It worked fine.
It worked fine.
It worked fine for what they needed. He looks just like he should in that time period. The voice that they did was good. I haven't seen articles yet how they've pulled it off. I've heard that it's all old footage of Mark Hamill that they chopped and screwed to make the new dialogue.
Yeah.
I've also heard that they recorded Mark Hamill himself and then used a program to make him sound younger. I'm sure that's something, as the time goes, that we'll get the truth on how they made that come to be.
Yeah, maybe gallery.
For sure in the gallery show.
You think he's going to be the poster on Monday?
Yeah, 100%.
There's no way he's not.
Yeah.
And if it is, like, I hope someone makes it available, because I need it. I need it so bad. I should just tattoo that next on me. Just put on my back.
Put your
full back tattoo.
What I'm gonna do is
tattoo of just Luke Skywalker.
I'm gonna have my Luke Skywalker poster and my Frog Lady poster, and they're gonna be right beside each other.
Right beside each other, yeah, obviously.
So we'll talk. We'll finish up this moment here, and then we can kind of talk about Luke being in this episode. And so, like, Luke comes up to Mando. Mando's like, "Are you the Jedi?" And he's like, "I am." And he's like, I will give my life to protect the child, but he's not going to be safe until he properly learns how to use his powers. And he's like, "Come, little one," but Grogu doesn't want to come because Din's permission to go with him, and this moment like had me crying for a whole different reason. Like Luke Skywalker, I was crying because like
So
6 to 30-year-old me was seeing like it's Luke Skywalker doing cool Luke Skywalker things. But then he picks up Grogu and he's like, you have to go with your kind. He can train you, he can keep you safe. And Grogu is just like puts his hand on his helmet, and then Din takes his helmet off and like
without
reveals
hesitation.
his face without hesitation to Grogu, and they have like that heart-to-heart moment where they just like look at each other and see each other's face, and he's like, "I'm gonna come back for you, I promise." And getting there, and he's just like, and he puts him down to hand him off, and he's just like, we'll be okay. And right after this happens, freaking R2 shows up.
Yeah, randomly.
And takes the whole thing back. Yeah, he comes swirling around after that, and I'm just like, oh my god, R2's talking to Grogu right now.
Yeah,
they're having an exchange.
Yeah. Oh, that was perfect.
and it was so good. It was so good. And Luke picks up Grogu, and he's like, all right, peace. And he walks
away.
Yeah, gets into the elevator with them and takes off with them. And like and you just see Din looking heartbroken that he gave away Grogu, and everyone else in the bridge just looking in disbelief basically at what just happened. Yeah, like what just happened. And so I think we'll pause here for where we're at in the episode and kind of just talk about this moment in general, because the implications behind all of this is huge and shockingly has become rather divisive, which is super surprising to me. So let's go through like our random thoughts and feelings about this though. Jackson, how about you first? How did you feel seeing Grandmaster Luke come up?
I watched the episode, and then I woke up actually to dozens of messages from just the two of you saying, do not just watch it, because I might have the tendency to lay in bed for like 45 minutes and scroll through Twitter before watching the episode, which usually hasn't steered me wrong.
There was no way you weren't getting spoiled this week. It was all
no. Anyways, and so Luke in this episode, I really like it. I read a lot of I read some dissenting opinions about it that I think are interesting, and I think are in some ways valid. The idea is that like, oh man, we can't do this thing without the Skywalkers, or how like the ending with Luke kind of rips out a little bit of that emotional payoff of like the actual characters, because everyone's gawking at Luke Skywalker on screen for the first time for some people, Luke Skywalker on screen for the first time in 40 years. If so you want to dismiss other certain films with him in it. But I think overall, like, it's too good to like really complain and like nitpick about it. Because in some ways, this is just what the show is. Grogu and Din are at the heart of the show, but really it's not 100% about them. It's about the things they're doing around them. And I really like it. I think I'm not like, I think the internet has a tendency to be a little hyperbolic about like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. But they're kind of like that every week, in my opinion. People online, I really like it. I think it's the ending, the part that got to me the most was the end with like Din and like Grogu. I was like, man, this is heart-wrenching stuff. Like, he's got to go, he's got to learn, he's got to maybe die in the end of the fall of Luke's little academy, but you know, that's besides the point.
Kyle was gonna do what Vader couldn't, like he always said he would, and by that means killing Grogu. He's gonna be the one. Vader couldn't do it. He was at the academy, he was like, he's too cute, I can't do it.
Yeah, and I maybe sound more negative, but that's just because I wanted to bring up the kind of different reactions.
Yeah.
But for me overall, I was like, when that X-Wing flew in, and I was like, oh man, they're really gonna do it. They're really gonna do it.
Yeah.
And it was really it's so cool to see. The one thing I will bring up, because I have to be the one to bring this up, is the people who are like, hashtag this is my Luke, the Luke truthers out there.
I was gonna bring that up after we went around. We can get into that now though.
I think that just like doesn't make sense, because
Right.
it's so clearly like the Last Jedi makes it so clear what happened that caused Luke to be this way. That I don't think that's even a valid complaint. And
Yeah,
I only bring it up.
The Last Jedi is about bringing him back to that point. That's literally the pitch of the movie.
Right.
That's what the movie's about.
I can't believe that this moment ended up bringing back Last Jedi discourse.
We can't escape it.
Because this is like the cool Luke moment that everyone wanted him to see, but in The Last Jedi, he's not at that phase anymore. This is 18 years before the moment with him and Ben and the Academy falling. A lot can happen in 18 years. You know how different I am from the last 18 years of my life.
18 years ago, I wasn't in diapers. It's a little too old to be in diapers.
Almost in diapers, but
yeah. I hadn't even seen Star Wars yet, so
I can't. Both sides of it though. I hated how this became now that's the Luke that we needed to see this whole time. That fit the era. It fit the timeline. And then there was the other side of the coin where it was like, why does it always have to tie back to Luke? Why does the Skywalker have to be involved? But then I also brought this up with DJ earlier too, though, but it was like, I don't see timeline wise who else it could be. The canon is a thing, like it or not, everything since the purchase is following that canon. So let's break this down real quick. I broke it down with DJ. Let's break it down for people who are listening, and I might even clip this out too, and for Jackson. Of the four, another big complaint is how there's too many Jedi that have survived Order 66. That's been a complaint literally since Rebels, when Kanan was introduced with Ezra. So let's break down the Force users who've survived Order 66 that we know of so far. There was Obi-Wan, Yoda, Maul, Sheevy Babes, Anakin, Luke, Leia, Cal, Kanan, Ahsoka, and Ezra. We know 10 of
Quinlan Voss.
We know how. Oh yeah, and Quinlan Voss. I guess he's not dead either. But we know how 10 out of those 12 stories end. The only two possibilities that are left hanging then is, I guess, Quinlan Voss. And I don't think, no matter where they go with those video games, that Cal is surviving into the original trilogy era of time. At all. So he was never a question to me. So that only left the realistic expectations of Kyle Katarn was never a thing. That was me speculating as a fanboy because I love that character. But that left us with Luke, who around this time period is doing exactly what he showed up to do. Ezra, who is not realistic because Ahsoka's still looking for Thrawn, who last we saw is with Ezra. And then after that would be, I guess, Quinlan Voss, but there was no way he was going to show up. Or it could have been a Jedi, but this was established. He was getting dropped off with the Jedi, or it could have been Ahsoka coming back, her too. But the mission of this season was get Grogu to the Jedi. Grogu called the Jedi. Ahsoka met him. The
Jedi is Luke.
Ahsoka met Grogu and said, I can't train him, but maybe if he calls out in the Force, another Jedi will answer. And there's no other way how it could have been Luke. And even though this is like a super fan servicey lightsaber moment, look at how I was reacting. It fit. It's not ham-fisted either. I don't understand what people were looking for either.
I think the complaint, now I haven't read these complaints, but my rebuttal to that is that this story was written so that would be the only option.
Yeah. Which
would be we could have just not done this at all, which isn't the reality. But I could see how that's, in my opinion, that's a fair maybe not complaint, but a fair consideration.
What are you expecting at this point? The first step of this show had Baby Yoda. Like, we've been doing this for 2 seasons now. Like, I don't see why people are all of a sudden now realizing that that's what this show is. It is bringing back all these characters. It is dealing with lore that is already established. Like, that is the show. It's not the side show you thought it was in summer 2019. It's not that show.
There's so many people that are like, Mandalorian's ruined now because they brought in Luke Skywalker as a connection, or Mandalorian's dumb. This show's just written like a 13-year-old playing with action figures. That's what it always has been. And to be honest, that's Star Wars, baby.
One of my favorite, who was the guy who was on Talking Bay this week?
I can't remember his name. The Muppet guy, though.
The Muppet guy. He said on this week's episode that I think is relevant to this, that he's like, a lot of people complain that Star Wars and like the Muppets and stuff, he's talking about the Muppets as well, it's just like fan films. And then he was like, yeah, of course they're all fan films now, because they're made by people who are like 40 years ago were kids who watched them. Like, technically all of these are fan films now at this point.
Yeah, because he was like, no one is working on these movies that didn't grow up loving them.
Yeah.
But like, I just don't understand how they're knocking Luke being here. Like, yeah, it was written that way, but like, everything fit fine. Nothing about it was ham-fisted.
Yeah.
Like, the only
That's also
time...
the only logical conclusion to the story. Like, to me, it's just like, we know Grogu's got to get trained. That's like, you can argue that we rushed to it, but that is the eventual goal we're getting to. Din has to give him off to train him. Like, that's always been the goal here, and this is the most obvious way to do it. So to me, it's like,
I think another one of the implications too now is like the show is just too big for its own like britches now, which I think we were trending towards that in the first place, and I kind of like it, but I do agree, like, Mandalorian season 3 is not Luke training a legion of Jedis, so it's like the show is going to be different now,
right? Yeah.
Like, what do you do when you've accomplished your goal? You move on to the next one, which is fighting Bo-Katan for Mandalore.
Yeah. But like, Jackson, I think you absolutely nailed it on the head. There is, the Mandalorian has gotten too big for itself, because like, Clone Wars was super popular because a ton of children watched it, but like, Rebels was not a TV rating success. So like, these shows are typically like mid-level rating wise successes. They're not they were never Mandalorian level hits. So I think there are some people who have a little bit too high of expectations going into this, but like, you should have had that beaten out of you by now, because the writing in these episodes never get deep. Like, the only Star Wars film or any kind of deep writing that's like super deep that we get is The Last Jedi. Everything else really never gets that deep. Even the most like intriguing arcs of Clone Wars don't really get that deep. So like, if you're looking for like that super in-depth morality based science fiction, what you're looking for is stuff like Blade Runner and Star Trek, not Star Wars. Like, this is space fantasy with wizards, man. You were looking in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
it's just very interesting to me, because I feel like the Luke stuff and like what goes on in between 6 and 7 is like that's like a trilogy of movies. Like, that's so big that like there's no way they're
200 books about it.
Yeah, but the books don't matter, DJ.
I'm just saying that, you know what I mean. Yeah.
It's like, man, like, wonder what we do next, and I guess maybe we're leading into that.
I mean, that's like another point too, is like, everyone is like, why does it always have to relate to the Skywalkers somehow? But like, that's every TV and movie is like that. If you want to get away from that the books. That's your choice. The books
Yeah.
get away from that, and that's where you can find your Star Wars adventures without that. And I think we're going to be getting that with
We're getting there.
with the plethora of
New shows.
the new shows that were announced. I think a lot of
Even
those are going to be
the new movies.
Yeah, I think a lot of those are going to be disconnected from where we're at, but we're still in that Skywalker era. We're post Return of the Jedi era. That's how it's going to be. Like that. It just, today's discourse on the internet has made me realize that there's just still so many people that don't get it. They just don't get Star Wars, and that's super gatekeepery to say, but like it's the honest truth. Like there are people that just don't understand the franchise. They want it to be more than it is, and I don't think at this point there's any saving them. So like honestly, if you're disgruntled about it and stuff and haven't liked the movies, you're really just left to drop off, because I don't think there's really going to be a save for you.
You're not gonna. It's not coming back around for you.
Yeah,
like, this is the show.
That's why the people that grew up loving Star Wars before 2015 were the quiet nerdy kids. Like they knew,
because no one wanted to hear what they had to say.
Yeah, like if you don't got it now, you're not going to get it. But
this means DJ's the Chad, because he's the 2015 Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm the guy.
But see, like DJ's a new Star Wars fan that's liking all of this. So like they're accomplishing their goal. Like they're bringing in new fans, whether you think they are or not. Like like
DJ's the Disney Star Wars fan. He loves Mr. Disney.
I love Mickey Mouse. I love there's the new Bob, right? There's no longer the old Bob. This is the new Bob.
Yeah, we're under new Bob now.
Yeah, I love new Bob.
But before we get into the ending of the episode and kind of what's next, let me explain my rationale on why it wasn't until we saw that green lightsaber that I was convinced it was Luke. Because I saw so many people online that were like, well, as soon as I saw the X-Wing, I knew it had to be Luke.
I had some guesses, but I was like, I'm not sold yet.
Here's why I wasn't sold until we saw that. And it comes down to the story in the writing that we've had so far. Because if you remember, in last season, in Chapter 6, we saw 3 new Republic X-Wing pilots. One of those, Trapper Wolf, showed up with a new pilot, Captain Carson, in Chapter 10 to save Mando's skin from the spiders at the last second and question him about his involvement in Chapter 6. That episode, mind you, was directed by Peyton Reed. Mm-hmm. And Captain Carson also shows up in Chapter 12 and questioned Cara Dune about the Mandalorian and the Razor Crest. So they're obviously looking for him. And then he gives Dune that Ranger medal or whatever. So
you thought it was gonna be Captain
you thought it was Mr. Kim Convenient.
When he showed up, the X-Wing shows up, my thought was, oh, the New Republic is here, because they just announced the Rangers of the New Republic last week. I was like, the New Republic's gonna show up at the last second, save the day again. And then I saw the white blade and I was like, oh no, it's Ahsoka with the X-Wing, because people were speculating because in the epilogue of Rebels, which allegedly could take place after her Mandalorian episode, she's escorted by X-Wings. So it's like, oh, well, this is all kind of coming together. That's why he said it takes place after, because Ahsoka's working with them now. Mm-hmm. But then once it had the green blade, I was like, oh, okay, now I'm in. Man. Yeah. So like there was
still got the boots on too.
Yeah. So like there's actual story-based rationale behind why that X-Wing, and I think that was their intention too. Like I think the green blade was supposed to be the oh crap moment, not the X-Wing.
The fact that they singled out the fact that it just like, oh, it's just one, like they have like one of those lines, and I was like, okay, who's just driving around in their one single X-Wing by themselves all the time? I know who that is. That was my
You've also been watching a lot of Kim's Convenience. You're like, this guy's a star.
Yeah, he's the best. Yeah,
excellent show, by the way. Highly recommend Kim's Convenience. But
Brought to you by Jackson Wells and DJ Gillard's taxpayer dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's why like I wasn't sold immediately just by the X-Wing that it was Luke, because like they've kind of teased, because they've brought back so many unknown characters throughout the series that
it was like, Amy Sedaris the entire time.
I mean, they brought her back, like no Dr. Mandible appearance, so that also was a little bit of a bummer.
0 to 10. 0 to 10.
But yeah, so that was my rationale and why it wasn't until the green saber then I was like, oh. So I guess I was like the one that it hit the way that maybe they were writing it up to be with the big reveal there. Um but yeah, so that's how the episode ends, is just with that moment, is
Except
they throw a post-credit scene in here.
I'm lucky because sometimes I just close the laptop when the episode's over. I had to sit with this one, so I was lucky that I sat through the credits.
Oh, yeah. Really? I figured DJ would have gave you a heads up.
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, so
I wanted to discover it himself. You know?
Yeah.
It was
so
funny because I was
scene
on my phone and all I hear is like, I'm just like, all I hear is like blasters, and I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What's going on? Yeah.
So there's this post-credit scene here where we see Jabba's palace, and I was like, wait a minute. And they go into Jabba's like throne room, and Bib Fortuna has the throne, and he's super fat, so he's what I am now dubbing as Thick Fortuna, and he's sitting there, and then Thick Boba Fett shows up with Fennec, and Bib Fortuna's just like, oh, Boba, we thought you were dead. Good to see you, buddy. And he's just like, I don't know what to say, man. Nice to have you. And then I can't remember the exact dialogue exchange though, but like Mando says something threatening, and then Bib Fortuna says the McClunky line, and then
he said McClunky.
Yeah, he says McClunky, and then Boba shoots him and kills him. So then
I was shocked there was not many Bib Fortuna stands out there upset about this scene. Not that you should be upset about this scene, but I just imagine there's like Bib Fortuna fans who are just like, in the old books, Bib Fortuna did this and this thing. Why did they kill my man Bib Fortuna? I was totally
there might be still. We just haven't found it yet.
I haven't found anyone yet. I was totally expecting someone pissed off that they. Yeah, I was totally expecting someone pissed off that they killed him.
I was surprised he was alive.
Yeah.
Wasn't he on the skiff that blew up?
Yeah.
So
this
no one's ever really gone.
This ends with a really cool shot of like him sitting on the throne, and then Fennec sits
Boba clears the bodies out, takes the throne like Conan the Barbarian with Fennec at his side. It fades to black, and then we get boom, the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
December 2021. And I was just sitting there like, at first I was kind of freaking out, and so was DJ, where we were like, oh wow, season 3 is Boba Fett. It's
Grace
not
Randolph was
right. Grace Randolph was right, but no.
That can't be.
We used our logic after we freaked out for a second, and it's not it, because this has been leaked already and reported on by Deadline.
Okay, well,
there's a Boba Fett miniseries.
Apologies to Deadline from all of us, because I've like episode 5, we're just like,
I do think we brushed this aside.
We abandoned the Boba plot thread. We're not actually doing it. They were dead wrong. And then the last episode happens, and then all this other stuff happens, and the show doesn't get announced at the thing, and we're just like, Deadline, you messed us up. It's not happening. We all doubted them, but apologies to Deadline. I appreciate you. Your good reportings again.
But yeah, so
it's kind of Plaguey, right? I'm sorry.
No, please.
So Deadline reported on this weeks ago that there was a Boba Fett miniseries that's filming like right now. Like there are Star Wars scoopers who have been on the set. They have like taken photos of the landscapes being built. And I kept thinking, well, they're not giving him his own miniseries. He's just part of the crew. He's going to be in the next season or whatever. But no, they're filming it right now. And a lot of people are like, well, why wasn't that? They probably didn't want to spoil the season of Mandalorian.
Yeah, waited for a bit.
So
maybe it was in the secret investors call.
Ooh. I mean, it's possible, but
for the highest, for those tier 3 subs.
So like the way I'm thinking that this is going to work out is we're going to get the Book of Boba Fett for the first 3 or 4 Fridays of December, and then Christmas Day is when season 3 starts.
I totally agree. Because even in the Deadline report, they say that Mando season 3 should be beginning production pretty soon, and that this series is like 4 episodes. I think they said 4. I don't know if I think they do. I think they give 4, but if
Yeah,
they don't, it's 3 or
4's
4.
the number I've seen thrown around.
Yeah.
So like, I think what it's going to do is that's going to kind of set up how we got Boba back, and then lead into whatever season 3.
Do you still think it's
comes,
the? Do you still think they were 100% right that it's gonna be like completely before? Because I think what they probably saw was flashbacks, and they took all their knowledge and assumed
Mhm.
that. This happens all the time in reporting, and usually people are right. But this is one of those times where like, I think they might have got a detail mixed up here, and that maybe like half of it's in the past, and the rest of it's like, it's like they're clearly setting something up. He's at Jabba's palace, they're doing something.
Yeah, like I think we'll have a flashback on how he survived the Sarlacc pit. I think this is how we get Cobb Vanth back, at some point.
Yeah,
and then
that makes a lot of sense.
I think it will end where like Boba's crew on Tatooine is Fennec and Cobb in Jabba's palace, like running whatever they're going to end up running, and then they'll weave in and out with the Mandalorian shows as needed.
Yeah,
I think that's where that's going.
This just seems so like, not to be a hater, because like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna like probably like, it just seems like such a weird choice. Like this is where you put your resources.
Mm-hmm.
A 4-episode miniseries about 50-year-old Boba Fett. Like, I don't know, it's weird.
See, I want to say that, but the past few episodes of the show have sold me on just watching Boba Fett.
See, I'm not really sold on Boba Fett.
Tamura's played him so well.
He's been so good this season that I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. It's definitely not my first choice either. I would agree with that.
I like him as secondary. I think I'm in terms of like, I just don't care how he got out of the Sarlacc pit or what he does. That's not in relation to like.
I really hope that's not the entire show for sure.
I did bring up to DJ though, what if the book of Boba Fett is literally a book, and that's why the Mandalorian novel does not have a cover art or a title yet?
That would be so funny. I'm also just like, what's the conflict here? Who what revenge has he seeked that he hasn't gotten in the 30
Bib
seconds?
Fortuna lived through that gunshot. He's gonna come back and fight him.
So
these are the things I'm saying, that it's like, oh, they're gonna write a story that's like worthwhile. It's just like
hopefully
interesting. I guess so.
So like
interesting decision.
So like when Bib Fortuna had the throne, he got fat, which would kind of imply that the reason Jabba was so fat was because he was that big, powerful gangster. So that would imply from DJ's comic reading he's been doing that those shredded huts could exist.
Yeah,
because
obviously.
Maybe they're only fat like that because they've just been powerful gangsters.
DJ,
now,
can you call out the Hut?
Pardon?
Can you give the Hut a shout out and tell people what to look up?
Gracchus the Hut. Just Google Gracchus the Hut. He's great. He's completely jacked, and he is a Hut. He's great.
What else does he have, DJ?
He just a nice 6-pack and really nice.
He does.
What does he have on the bottom?
Oh, he's got the robot legs that aren't explained. So he can, instead of moving around like a slug, he can just kind of like he can go like that. It's fun. He's the best. I love him. He is alive at this point because I think I read on Wikipedia that he dies in the Poe Dameron comic that is like set like before Force Awakens, like right, it leads right up to that. So he should be alive. Could this show be about Boba Fett tracking down Gracchus the Hut?
I want to know.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Since Filoni's involved, what is Stinky up to?
What is
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
Maybe
you know what?
Maybe that's the conflict. Is Stinky tries to reclaim his rightful throne? And
what if? Okay, we don't know how quickly Hutt's age. What if Stinky and Baby Yoda are like kind of at the same age?
Yeah. What if they're cousins
at the same development?
Yeah,
that's a good point because Jabba is in Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. I like where we're going here.
I like where we're going. Yeah.
I want the return of Stinky.
Stinky the Hut is like people that don't know the lore are gonna be like, that's like alternate universe disgusting Baby Yoda. Like that's terrible. I hate that.
Oh, and then Ahsoka can show up in it too, and she could be reunited with Stinky. Oh,
her first job.
This is
never forget your first job.
Hire us now, Favreau, because we've got it written. We've got the story ready to go.
We're good. Gracchus the Hut is the Din Djarin for Stinky the Hut. He's protecting the little boy. It's perfect.
But they're definitely going to have to clarify though at some point if this is its own thing.
I wonder if
Like-
this is clarified on Monday when this
Yeah.
episode's post. I could totally
Right.
see that
If
because
it's not
it needs
already,
it.
I haven't checked my phone. It might already be because there's
It's just so weird. Like, even me, who like, I would like to think I follow closely enough like the news and stuff. When I'm watching Mandalorian and it ends with the book of Jabba, December 2021, and I go, "Isn't the next season of Mandalorian supposed to come out December 2021?" And I
Yeah.
go, "Wait a minute."
yeah. Which
Grace
is why
Randolph
I think
was
it's
right.
which is why I think it was the miniseries is
Yeah.
because then it could just lead into the season and then
I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe they
that
go
would
back
be
and
the-
forth or something, but that doesn't
Mhm.
make
Oh,
any
that-
sense.
Here,
But-
another reason why the wires could get crossed here, and maybe what leads to terrible reporting like Grace Randolph's, the fact that I'm gonna guess, get based on this stuff, that this is gonna be Mandalorian like branded, especially because like it's called like the Book of Boba Fett. This show has been like chapters, and like you were saying,
Mhm.
something like Dave Filoni's work on Avatar did something similar.
Yeah, the
this-
seasons of Avatar are by
Are
books.
Yeah, so I wonder if this will be like on the Disney Plus page, this will fall under the Mandalorian, and it will be like a separate thing where it's like the Book of Boba Fett and then season 3. I wonder if that's like where some of the confusion's like stemming from, where people hear
Yeah,
this stuff
like,
and they're just like,
the
Boba Fett's
show's
taking
not
over
called-
the Mandalorian. What's
The
going
show's
on?
not called the Book of Boba Fett. It's called Mandalorian : the Book
yeah,
of
the Book
Boba
of
Fett.
Boba Fett. That's what I think it's probably gonna be,
Makes
and
sense.
that's how
Yeah, and
all
I
the
think-
wires get crossed
and-
here.
And then you
where-
get the Bo-Katan miniseries.
yeah, and then you get obviously.
Well, that's
yeah.
what I said with DJ is like we'll get the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, the Book of Din Djarin, Mandalorian, the Book of Ahsoka, Mandalorian.
I feel like Ahsoka and Rangers would be like their own separate things, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
That's how
You
they
gotta,
could
use
organize
that
it.
brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, unless we hear otherwise, I have no reason to suspect that is what season 3 is going to be.
Yeah. Especially because there is a big plot threads that I assume we're about to talk about that need to be addressed in Amando's
Yeah,
season 3.
because like where
so-
do we think season 3 is going? Like obviously it's going to be for the throne and what's the word I was looking
Grogu's
for?
blood.
The throne for Mandalore and the independence of Mandalore is they're gonna go take the planet back. So like
yeah,
that,
and
I think that's the big.
oh, you cut out. Well, sorry.
Yeah, I figured. Did you hear anything I said?
You were talking
Independence
about
of Mandalore.
Yeah, the
Independence of Mandalore.
independence of Mandalore. Like I think the main through line is like I think Bo-Katan might end up being kind of a little bit of a villain. Like because she's power hungry.
know.
She wants that throne, and
I
Din
don't
does
know.
not.
It's
I'm so
interesting.
curious where this is going. I can't.
Paul-
They're not gonna fight. I don't think they're gonna fight. That seems dumb.
What if
I
they
feel
get
like they're
married?
somehow gonna work this out. What if they did get married? That's a good point. What if
And
they
'cause
fell in
then
love?
she could be the queen of Mandalore.
Yeah, then it all works out.
Close enough. Okay, here's my thing. Bo-Katan, sure she wants to free her people, but why does she want to lead them? Just because she thinks
This
like
is
she
what
can?
I was thinking about too. Like, does the course of the next season more so be like Bo-Katan realizing that Din is the better ruler here, and like
Hmm.
some sort of like arc that Din goes on post Grogu, post all this stuff that we've went through, because like we assume that that's gonna be kind of moved on from. What if that's the arc? What if it's not gonna be Bo-Katan? I don't know.
Here's my question. For the moms out there,
Right.
can you do The Mandalorian without Baby Yoda?
That's a
Do
good
you
question.
see your viewership drop significantly if it's not chicken nuggies every episode?
I don't know.
I think
It's
it does.
so weird.
To be honest, I also don't think that's the last we see of Grogu.
No.
No.
I think we'll get him back by like season 4, and he'll be like with this. He'll have his own lightsaber and stuff. Like he'll be semi-trained. I think.
Yeah. I
People
don't
are.
know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that's an interesting thread, but I do think something that like getting into thinking back to like Clone Wars and stuff on like the politics of Mandalore. It's like, yeah, Bo-Katan wants to liberate Mandalore from the Empire. Like that makes sense.
That's the
Everyone
word I
wants to
was
do that.
looking for. Liberate.
There you go.
Yeah, but like,
Come full circle.
is she like I have to be the queen of Mandalore, or only I can do this, and like is that kind of her downfall? I think that's an interesting story thread to follow. It seems
think-
like
story.
yeah.
also like the whole like connection to the old ways of like, oh, we've got to have this lightsaber if I want to be queen and stuff like that is very
And people easily forget with Bo-Katan's character, she was a part of Death Watch when we first saw her. Like she is not the forward thinking Mandalorian ruler that her sister was. Like I could totally see that arc going with her because she is like so vigilant to the old way in a way. And to me, I can't see them resolving that by her that being a downfall of her. I think she has to either get over that and reclaim the saber or let someone else do it. I think I can't see them doing it where she comes full on villain mode. I don't know.
What do we think becomes of Moff Gideon?
Yeah.
I just as long as he stays on the show.
They just knocked him out.
Giancarlo has been on interviews talking about how much he's excited for season 3. So I guess he's gonna be hanging out.
He said that he's got a big role in the story. So like, does he kind of join the group kind of and is giggling the whole time? Or do you think he escapes as like a dastardly villain and?
I think he ties Bo-Katan to a train or something.
We'll draw the Jedi out from here.
Please help, Jedi.
Yeah. This is almost like when The Last Jedi ended, and you're just like, there's so many story threads I can think of. I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, we're going to do some stuff, but they're not giving us any, like, oh, and this is kind of where we're going. It's just, no, they're just like, here's what might happen.
They even have the cloning stuff floating around. The Doctor's still alive. Moff Gideon's still alive. He's got the blood.
He claims that he's got it working.
Yeah. So what are they gonna do with that? Cara Dune is still alive. So what are they gonna do with her? They can't bring her back. They just can't. I just don't. I would be shocked if they brought her back. But on the other hand, Disney does still work with Tim Allen. So I guess it's kind of a wait and see. But
one other question I would have is like, I can't see this being the only thing we see of Luke. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like maybe that's a minority opinion. I don't think this is over, and maybe it's not this show. Maybe it's not for like 5 more years. Maybe we do this whole thing with this current slate of shows. But I think one day we're gonna get back to this.
Well, they have to do the fall of his temple. Like they just have to. There's no way they're not going to waste a book or a comic on that. They're going to do something with that. It's
going to happen. Yeah. One of the things that I was thinking about that maybe you could do, and this is like Galaxy Brain 7 years from now, here's the end state of Disney Star Wars TV series. What if it all kind of gets to a point where Luke has Grogu and his failure to say Grogu like gets killed or something, and his failure to do that is what births Snoke, and all of it kind of connects into what eventually happens to Ben. And like you talk about, and we've talked this to death.
He's grumpy.
And how this would be how these shows would be what Clone Wars was to the prequels, and how we've been talking about this season, like how this is like trying to do something to the sequels. That seems like a direction you could eventually get down, where it's just like Luke's failure in some sort of way, this is what leads to Snoke, which is what leads to everything that eventually happens. Like maybe you could do something like that. Maybe you can even bring Han Solo into that with Alden Ehrenreich. Maybe you can get everyone in and like do this whole thing, because there's so much to pull on. Like that's
all
like
face off against Thrawn.
Yeah, like I'm just like, why not do the Thrawn trilogy and like obviously have it fit your own universe that you have now, but like why not? It's right there for the taking at this point. So I honestly can see 5 years from now that's what happens.
Yeah,
because they have to address it.
It'll be cool to see where it goes though, because like I think both Pedro and Giancarlo have both said that they're targeting 5 seasons total.
Yeah.
So that leaves 3 seasons left to see what the end game on this is going to be, and I have a pretty good feeling we'll have an idea of what's going to happen after season 3 as far as actual end game. Because this episode left me feeling almost exactly how I felt after the Rebels season 2 finale, when Ahsoka and Vader are facing off in the temple, and then it closes down on them, and then we're left. We get this awesome fan service moment with Ahsoka and Anakin again in a lightsaber battle, but we don't know after that if Ahsoka survived that. We get this awesome moment with Luke, but now we don't know where we're going from this. So like my hype for season 3 leaves me very sad. We have to wait until Christmas now.
Yeah, it's interesting because like it's over. Like like kind of what's been going on, like the main through lines have kind of been closed, which leaves us open to like at the end of season 1 you're like, okay, so Moff Gideon's coming for this baby and he's got to try to find some sort of, he's been quested to find like this, so we know what season 2 is going to be about. But now it's like, well, he did both of those things. Moff Gideon's like done enough at this point, and he's with Luke. So like whatever happens next is kind of new territory. Like they've laid the seeds for some stuff that could happen. We really don't know.
And a lot of people are like, oh, go ahead.
My next point is it's almost time to talk about the ethics of using digitized actors. Let's get into that discourse. Just kidding.
I was just going to say, like, a lot of people also said that this felt like a series finale, and I didn't really get that vibe at all. It just felt like a season finale. Like,
it's a finale to the arcs they've set up, though. Like, the main arc of this show being Baby Yoda, Grogu, or whatever, like, doing this whole thing. Like, the show could end here. It could. You cancel this show, and I guess we wouldn't know what happens to Mandalore, but that doesn't matter to 90% of the audience anyways. So
I think it had to end at this point, because like my issue with TV shows is like, it's like when a lot of shows are about like a couple, and it's like, are they gonna, I was gonna say a word that I shouldn't use, are they gonna kiss? And then they do kiss, and then you're like, okay, well now what?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Like you can't dance around it for too long. So like, I don't think we could have done another season of them just hopping back and forth, being like, oh, we can't find a Jedi because we've got my favorite TikTok is the one where it's like, oh, we don't have any milk, so we've got to go to this planet and get some milk. Yeah. Then our ship blows up. Like, we couldn't have done that for another season.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for the next direction.
Yeah.
I do think and that's going to lead to a space thing.
Yeah. I'm super excited.
There's going to be, if it's not Thrawn, there's going to be some emerging threat that's going to take care of.
The one thing I think about when talking about Mandalore is like budget wise, like all the cities and stuff we've gone to, it's been deserts, it's been small outposts, it's been like wooded areas. Mandalore is like a metropolis of a city.
Right.
So I'm interested to see how that kind of pushes maybe the limits, because the volume's not 100 feet tall. Be curious to see how that pushes kind of the limits. It's a lot easier in animation to have them interacting in a sprawling city like Mandalore. Which
they do have 3 of them though now.
Yeah.
Maybe what you do here is
stack them on top of each other.
Just get a crane and do it. Yeah.
Also, we don't know what Mandalore looks like, so
that's what I was about to say. Like, if it's under Imperial occupation through the original trilogy era, basically, and to now, like, it's probably beaten up. Those cities probably are not. There's probably not cars flying all over the place, Coruscant style.
Turn that planet to glass.
Yeah, like that place is probably messed up. So, I could totally see it. Yeah.
That Tamora Morrison, man.
Tamora Morrison's good. Good.
That's my problem too, because I still can't care for Boba Fett, except for like he does like a one-liner every once in a while. I think it's cool, but I love Tamora Morrison, so it kind of hurts. I feel bad.
Yeah, you failed them, Jackson.
But what do you guys think? Where's this landing on your episode list for the season?
I don't know. I kind of threw mine out the window. Not gonna lie to you. I haven't been really thinking about it too hard. I've enjoyed all of them. So
yeah,
this one is not as. It's definitely not as groundbreaking as. Not that season 1 was like just like but like this one, season 1 felt really special. The finale to me, and this one feels like, yeah, all right, you did it. You did the thing. Cool. Luke was awesome, but we closed that arc and it was good. So
I got a weird take here. I don't I don't really do the lists in my head. I don't think about it too much.
It's all one product, like at the
yeah.
end of the day, to
But
me.
there's something about
Well, I guess I just kind of was seeing if it was either favorite episodes.
Yeah.
no, there's something about that first episode of this season that something feels bigger, and I feel like it's a direction that they turned away from. I don't know if that comes from like Favreau's directing or from like the Timothy Oliphant, but like something about that first episode just felt like a step up
Built different.
that like the rest of the season I don't think carried out on in some ways.
Well, you think
just
of
like
it-
maybe visually.
Yeah, because think of it, like they were planning on pre-COVID to do that in a theater, like 2 people. So I in like limited screenings. So I don't know. I feel like that might have been one of those things where they were going ham on that.
Like there were like
episode.
IMAX shots in that episode.
Yeah, like
isn't
they
there?
were really going for it for that
Mhm.
the premiere, and then it kind of didn't work out for him in that way. But yeah, there's
It's
something.
interesting.
You're right that episode feels different, for sure.
There's like a giant like monster in it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That
I don't
episode
know.
almost just feels like its own movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like it feels very standalone.
especially
Yeah.
because Cobb Vanth never came back, and even though we got the Boba tease, like it still just feels
Boba
like
Tease was so dumb. I'm glad they
yeah,
followed
it still
through on
just feels
that.
like its own thing.
Amy Sedaris was in that episode.
Sedaris was in that episode. You're right.
Oh, who could forget?
It's infinitely better than the other ones.
They
Yeah,
even
my
got
favorite
the
character.
I like the pretty, not the pretty little robots, the funny little robot guys. I think those are funny.
Oh,
The
you know what?
Pitcairns?
Yeah,
Amy
pictures.
Sedaris is absolutely going to be in the Book of Boba Fett. Count on it now. That's gonna happen.
Probably.
She's
Cash the checks already.
she's gonna recapture her role in Elf, where she's a receptionist. She's going to become that for Jabba's palace when he's
What if
running
she's-
it.
what if
he's gonna
she's
hire
reading?
her.
What if she's reading the book of Boba Fett and she's
Ooh,
like the narrator?
She's
Oh man.
that would be good. That'd be good.
Sit down, Pitchords. Let me tell you a tale.
Yeah, of the titular Boba Fett. I think we got it.
I don't. As much as I love that episode, though, I don't think I would say it was my favorite of the season. Like I think,
I still have the first Bo-Katan episode. That was awesome.
yeah. I think there's just several that are tied for my favorite episode.
Yeah.
I think my problem is a lot some stuff. It's just like, oh, Ahsoka. They showed Ahsoka, and I was like, of course that's my favorite. It's like, well, I can't be brainwashed into the hype of wow, they showed this character, therefore best thing ever.
Yeah. And this whole season is just like a lot of it feels
It's
very
almost
like
that.
samey, but it's just here's the new character that we're gonna get hyped about, and I was hyped about it all, so you got me, I guess. But I get why some people can get like really cynical about that stuff, and that's kind of what led to the Luke reaction to me. Is like I feel like it was a culmination of just every episode just being like, we got to get this thing, and here's this cartoon character that fans are gonna freak out about, but for a lot of people are very boilerplate, and I feel like that's part of what led to like this kind of discourse about it. But I can sympathize with, even if I don't necessarily agree.
Yeah, I can see that.
You getting chapped up there, Will?
Yeah, you getting
We
some.
can take getting
No, I
chapped
got-
up there. We can take
No,
a
I'm
quick pause
just-
if you want to
No,
chap up.
I'm just messing with it. Usually I play with my sheave toy with my hand while we're recording, but today I'm just twirling around the chapstick. But
That's
I don't
good.
know. I don't know if I'm taking control of the wheel here. I got a question for you guys.
Okay, hit me.
If we could give like small shout outs to things throughout this season, what would you give it for?
Dr.
'Cause I got
Mandible.
2. My
Obviously.
first one is Frog Lady. I think she's
Yeah.
dope. And my Mon Calamari in a sweater. I love that
yeah,
dude.
Mon
I love that
Calamari in
too.
the sweater.
Those are my two kind of small minor shout outs.
I would agree with Frog Lady. She was awesome.
She was great. She was
And
fantastic.
then I'm also going to give a shout out to Dr. Mandible.
Dr. Mandible was great.
Mandible.
He was good. I'm gonna give a shout out to those pirates that I thought were Hondo, but were not Hondo. They were still cool despite not being Hondo. Also put shout out to Hondo. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's got to be. He seems like an easy get for.
It's a slam
this.
dunk. Hondo in season 3. It's got to happen.
I think my
Hondo
last shout-out-
running Jabba's palace with Boba. Obviously, that just makes sense.
Ooh, that would be awesome.
I think my last shout out goes to the Imperial captain or whatever in the last episode that Bill Burr shoots.
He was good.
Mm.
He was
Yeah,
he was a
good.
good creepy dude.
Yeah, there was just, I think this season is much more rewatchable than season 1 was.
You think so?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, and maybe this is a hot take. Maybe I'm gonna get lambasted for this one. I think if I could cut season 1, episodes 1 through 4, then 7 and 8, I like that more than season 2. I'm gonna come out and say it. I
That's a
really
bold
like.
take.
I really like the core
Mhm.
story of season 1. I think more than I like the core story of this one. Even if this one did not have a 2-week gap where you're just like, what the hell is going on? Why is this happening?
I think I'm with you on that, TJ.
Yeah, thank you. I was
Yeah.
scared. I feel like I'm gonna get killed for that.
Oh,
one,
you're
but
definitely going
yeah.
to, but I'm right there with you.
This one was definitely more consistent though, and yeah, like doing a full rewatch of this one in a 2-day session sounds like a great time.
Yeah.
It's just like, even if like in my like worst of my brain, I'm like, they're just bringing back these characters for the clout and for the hype. It works, and I'm definitely
They're
hyped when I
not.
see them. And they're not, but like, I'm like, oh man, it's Soka. Oh, maybe her episode, is it great? I think so, actually. Like, I think some of the stuff they do is good regardless of the shock factor of seeing like these beloved characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think they earn that. I think they earn it.
Yeah, they bring them back for like their hype moment, but they like fit in the story they're bringing. them back
They work for it too.
Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, I think it's really all there is to say though about this episode, though. Unless there's anything else you guys want to throw in.
I think we're good.
You know what? R.I.P. Cantina Conversations.
Yeah. No.
Unless
no one's really gone.
But yeah, so so that's it for season 2 of The Mandalorian. What did you listening or watching think of it yourself? Let us know on Twitter at Cantina Combo what you thought of the season overall as a whole. Make sure to do all that like, share, rate, subscribe stuff. Keep spreading the show around. Keep the growth going.
Yeah.
Will, I think we should clarify.
Yeah, I was about to say we should clarify because I feel like we went quick off that, and I feel like some people might think we're going away, but we're not.
Also,
no, I was going to clarify on it. Okay. We're not going.
We went away and then came back for The Mandalorian.
Yeah, so
but
no, we're not going anywhere. We're still sticking around. Next week, next week we're going to be going over kind of a retrospective combination between the 5-year anniversary of The Force Awakens and the 1-year anniversary of The Rise of Skywalker.
And maybe we'll talk about, I feel like we're going to stumble half-ass and talk about The Last Jedi too.
I guess I got to watch Star Wars. I got too many movies to watch, man.
We'll probably end up evaluating, but
I got 14 movies on a list, man. I don't have time for Star Wars. Just kidding. There's always time.
You're going to have to make time for Star Wars, but yeah. So, I mean, we got that. We got the Disney Gallery.
Yeah, we'll talk more
except
about
Disney Gallery
content.
apparently Disney Gallery is only an hour-long special for some reason.
If it's a Zoom call, I'm not watching it, man.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
We'll have
to
see what that ends up being.
Yeah.
But,
and we'll talk more about the other stuff we're going to be doing in the future next week, probably. This episode's already pretty long,
we'll break
so
down a little bit more.
We'll break it down.
DJ has some tricks up his sleeve.
Maybe I do.
Yeah. The Cantina will be conversations. So, DJ, where can the good people find you at on Twitter?
DJ_Gillard on Twitter. My dog is here actually, but I don't think she's going to come on camera. Is she? No, she walked away.
Bummer. Jackson, where can they find you at?
You can catch me anywhere at Jackson W. Wells. I gotta say, I've been tweeting real good recently. Been getting some good responses, so check that out if you want to see it.
And you can still find me on Twitter. You can find the show at Cantina Convo. Don't forget too, if our YouTube channel ever does get to 50 likes or 50 subs, we do have a giveaway. So keep your eyes peeled on that and my Twitter once again. That's Papa Star Wars. So until next week, may the Force be with you.